G'day. Aussie bonsai bloke, here you go. G'day guys, here we got my bottle brush, 35 plus year old in a pot. Been in that pot the whole time I believe. I think you guys looking at the front right there, definitely. And we're going to work on it. Okay, so what's happened is this thing flowered a while ago. There's still a couple flowers on it, but pretty well done. And now it's time to cut it back past the old flower buds to promote new growth. So it's going to look a little bit bald after this, but it should shoot out pretty strong and pretty heavy after. You can cut back straight after it's finished flowering. It's probably the best time to do it. But this tree's been weak in the last couple of years, so I wanted to let some good growth come out first before I did it. But having said that, it looks like it's got some sort of, I don't know, I guess you could, I'm not sure if it's myrtle rust or something like that, but I know in Western Australia they've got something called myrtle rust, and it's actually starting to kill a lot of bottle brushes and melaleucas, tea trees and stuff. So I don't know, is that myrtle rust or not? Quite often when I cut it back, it'll give me some good new growth without the rust. So I don't know, and if it is, how do I treat it? If it's not, still how do I treat it? I don't know. It's just something that the bottle brushes do seem to get, and they seem to, I don't know, grow out of it for a bit, and then, you know, come next spring or whatever, they sort of get a bit more again. So when you cut back the flower buds, cut it back behind where it flowered. If you've got a shoot that didn't flower, just cut it back to short little stub so you can create some good ramifications. What else? I guess that's pretty well it. Just cut back behind the flower buds, a bit like as if you're deadheading, you know, I don't know, a dahlia or a rose bush or something like that that's flowered, and you just want to rip off the old flowers. You can do that by hand, but with this you have to get in there and actually cut behind where it flowered. Otherwise you end up with these nuts all over the outside of your tree, and where the nuts are is a long section that doesn't branch, so you can't keep it on. Okay, so if you do keep it on your bottle brush where it did flower and you keep the nuts, one, it takes energy away from your tree to produce the nuts or the fruit, and two, where they were leaves a big long straight section without any leaf or anything on it, and without the possibility of it dividing in that section. So always, you know, cut back behind the flower. So here's one here. Even though I've got new growth on the tip here, I'm still going to cut back to here, and the tree should push out something new behind where it flowered. Okay, so I'm going to go across and do that over the whole tree. Shouldn't take too long, but it'd be pretty boring to leave you guys live while I do it. So I'll probably fast forward, see how we go, maybe put up a bit of music, put on a hyperlapse, and I'm just basically going to go ahead, shorten all these little branches, which will actually help get rid of a lot of this I don't know, I'm going to call it rust, but it could be something else. I don't know, I'm not sure. A couple of years ago I never really had that this time of year. It was a nice, bright, almost a reddish foliage. Now I keep getting this yellow, rusty looking stuff. Right, let's get into it and do that to the whole tree. Okay guys, so we've got it trimmed back. I think you'll agree it looks fairly sparse in some areas now. And generally you can see the structure of the tree a lot more, and it's probably improved the tree a decent amount. But what I will say is this tree has struggled ever since I put it in this little pot. It seems to want more water than it's getting, or something like that, or more nutrients, but it always did a lot better and a lot stronger in the bigger pot. So today, because we're slip potting, I can afford to do this in the middle of summer, and because we're slip potting, let's do that. So I'm just going to cut around one side just to get it out. Now bear in mind this pot is already cracked and broken, because what happened is, I don't know if you remember back to the old video where I got the kids a trampoline, and literally that same week everything, we had a massive storm, trampoline got wrecked. Anyway, this here fell off the shelf and broke the pot. So if the pot breaks pulling this out, don't be alarmed. I've got to be really careful with this beautiful old bark. So let's do that and just try and pull it out. Like I say, if it breaks a pot, I'm not overly concerned. I just don't want to wreck this bark, beautiful bark, on the tree. And hopefully, okay, we can get it into some better, not better soil, but just a bigger pot. Okay, so the soil in that's not bad. Got some drainage screens here. Right, so it appears it probably only cracked one little side of the pot, which is why it didn't break, just pulling it out then. So what I'll do is a wonderful viewer got me a pot from Luke Parsons. Okay. And I'm going to put it in the viewer's pot today, I reckon. So let's do that. I've just got to cut these screens so that we cover up all the big holes. Just plop them on wherever they fit. And I think I've got enough potting mix lying around outside, or succulent mix, that we can get this thing potted up today without too much worry at all. So that's Luke Parsons pot, Adelaide potter. Just look up Luke Parsons Pottery, Adelaide, South Australia, and you'll be able to find his work. And you know, does some beautiful, beautiful work. So look it up, buy one of his pots, support him. He's a great potter, and I will just say, here's another pot of his, absolutely beautiful, stunner, which would suit the tree really well, I have to say, but I've got plans for it for another tree. So this poor tree missing out on that pot. It's gonna get that pot that's just down there. That's the pot it's going to get. Right, I've got to go and get some soil and stuff, so I'll just pause it for now. Okay guys, so we've got the pot there. We've got some succulent mix. We'll chuck in the succulent mix. might have got a little bit heavy-handed, but we'll see. Whereabouts do we want it? Well, certainly got a heavy-handed. Jeez, I'll just put it on the table and just get off the table when I need it. Really, it's just going to be extra soil around the sides, which will help hold moisture for the tree. The width-wise, about the same. Okay, I don't recommend this time of year cutting it back. I don't recommend cutting back the root ball too hard this time of year. If you can, just repot it how it is. The back of this root ball doesn't have much. I'm just going to shorten that a little bit, just a little bit. You can see there's not really many roots in that. It's just going to allow it to go into this pot pretty easy. So be careful for the bark. This bark could crack off pretty easily. Wiggle it in. Get it pretty central in the pot, or however you like it, whatever you think looks good. Okay, does that look good? It's not bad, and that pot does seem to suit it pretty well. I may just try and drag it this way a little bit, right? And then all we're going to do, fill up all the edges. So even though it's the same depth and width of the old pot, we've got a little bit more out to the sides, which will just help it on those hot days. Just keep up with the moisture. Just help it that little bit more with the moisture. So yeah, pretty cool pot by Luke Parsons. As you can see, we haven't had to put much extra soil in, just a little bit. Then we'll moss it up. I'll mound it a little bit, just because I feel like this tree is sitting a bit high out the pot, so we're going to mound it a little bit. Because originally, if you remember, before I put it into that red pot, circular pot, it was in quite a large pot, a really large pot. And it actually recovered in that pot from when I first got the tree. It recovered in that pot and looked really, really awesome. So anyway, so now we just got to get some moss, put it on the tree. Don't know if we've got any good green moss outside at the moment because we are in the middle of summer. I might go and have a look. See if I can moss it up, because that will help cool the roots and keep the roots cool. Pretty cool. Look at the tree. Beautiful. Right. So I haven't actually cut pretty well anything off the roots. We're just going to do that so it gets more and more moisture. Otherwise you've got to water it 3 or 4 times a day just to keep the moisture up to it. And it didn't dry out, didn't lose its leaves, but we just want to keep it healthy, you know. But actually I quite like that pot with the tree. Pot looks pretty cool. Pretty cool. Right, let's see if we can find some moss. Okay, good day guys. Well, I did find this old tray from winter of moss. It's a bit dried up. Let's just shove it on in a few spots. Then I'll water it in outside. Even if it's a bit dry, it doesn't matter. As the water goes on, it should be fine. If it's too dry, you could always crumble it up like that and just sort of shove it on top, and then it'll slowly grow and fill in, especially as we come into autumn. But at the very least, it will offer a little bit of basically mulch. Moss acts as pretty much like mulch on top of the soil, and then as it starts to really grow, it cools it as well. There's not really too many bad things about moss. They can get on this bark and make this bark fall off. So far, this bark's doing fine. And we're just putting some of this semi-dry, nice moss on. And you know, if we keep the water up to it for a few days, the moss will still green up. Or if we get into a bit of a cold spell in the middle of summer, same thing will happen. But if it doesn't matter. It's at least going to act as a bit of mulch for the soil. So basically just chuck it on. A lot better than just having exposed soil to the sun. And that's it. Beautiful. Chuck that down. And we're ready to go. Clear the table. Put that one down there. I'll go and get a turntable so we can have a spin of the tree on the way out. But in general, we are done. And that pot, I reckon, actually suits it pretty well. Could it be slightly leant over to the right? Probably, but I'm just going to make out it's struggling and there's a lot of wind coming from that way. Okay guys, well, cheers for watching Aussie Bonsai Bloke. As you can see, I'm on the wooden turntable again. I have absolutely no idea what I've done with Adrian Eagleton's spinning tree turntables, the stainless steel ones that are absolutely beautiful. I've looked around for a month and a half and I can't find them, but I did have a big clean up and I don't know what I did with them. They have to be somewhere, Anyway, for now, we use the wooden one. Cheers for watching. So we've got this thing repotted in one of Luke Parsons' pots. Really cool tree with a lot of age. In fact, it's probably 40 years old now in a pot because it was 35 when I got it, and I've had it for more than 5 years, well over 5 years. It's been through some ups and downs, some trials and tribulations, mainly. Well, through where I got it from, the backside was bald. I got it healthy, and then I also burnt it and frosted it as well. But she's coming back, she's looking good. And we've got some beautiful bark. I'll just give you guys a close up of the bark and we'll catch you later. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate you guys all watching and all the comments. So there's the old bark. You can see the bark. Really like fissured bark. Pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. Now, it is leaning that way. I'm not sure whether the wind pushed it that way. So at the moment, this is definitely the front. But the other side as a front probably wouldn't be bad either. Only problem is it's leaning away now. So this is definitely going to be the front from now on. I'm going to give it a water. We'll see how she goes. Cheers. Cheers.